What's happening, everybody? We welcome you back to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. Christian Pedersen, Tommy Morris, Bodie DeSilva. We have a live studio audience from what we are told at one of our three locations. Actually, I guess two of our three locations. The intern is always loud here, potentially in the background. I'll let you guys figure out which one of the other two people joining us today has that live studio audience. Maybe we can get them to join the show at some point, because I do know that they are listening right now. Bodie, let's also remind everybody that you are joining us on behalf of Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider of the entire universe of high school sports. We don't even know what that other company that ever did anything before was. Bodie, before we get to some of our game predictions and previews, anything cooking this week on the Scorebook front that you want people to know about?
Yeah, I wrote a little bit about some recruiting last night. It is a popular bye week throughout the state, so a lot of kids are out taking their visits. I think most notably Julian Sane is heading back to Alabama to kind of see what that'll look like again when he is there next year. Or I shouldn't even say next year. I think with graduating early, he'll be there in about 3 months. And I don't know, maybe we see him as a day one starter.
They need him to suit up, I think, this week.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're down at halftime against Ole Miss, I think he can put a jersey on.
I did not want the show to go in this direction because we were a very big pro Tyler Buckner account for a very long time, and that was not a stellar performance. And I don't want to root.
I don't think he got a fair shake. Like a quarter and a half in the rain is not fair. So that's my take on it.
The Buckner was definitely pulled very quickly, and I think could have gotten another shot. Hopefully, does get another shot this season. Man, Bodie. It feels like there are still a couple guys uncommitted, or is there anybody you're looking out there for in terms of they're taking visit? Because I mean, Sane seems pretty locked up onto Bama, but anyone on the uncommitted side that you're looking at in terms of their visits that they're taking?
Yeah, not visits yet, but Kevin Allen III from Helix is a guy that I'm kind of waiting to see what are these schools waiting for at this point. It's a guy who has produced on both sides of the ball so far. I mean, whether it's I saw him recover a fumble for a touchdown, coming off the edge for a sack, 200 yards on the ground last week against Cathedral. Like, this is a guy that has to be one of the best unsigned seniors, uncommitted seniors in the entire state. And whenever a school comes around and gets him locked up, I think they're going to be really happy with what they have.
Yeah. Side note on that front, Casey is Kevin Allen's younger brother's teacher right now. So we are becoming a pro Kevin Allen household here. He
gets an A if Bodie gets the inside scoop of where he's going.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, deal. Bodie, we will compete to see who can get the scoop there. And we'll have Coach Pedersen. Casey's mic will finally work at that point when she's there to break the Kevin Allen story on that front. Tommy, question for you about La Jolla is on a bye week. I'm curious, Friday night, do you still get the itch to wear the short ankle pants? Do the Friday pants get a week off? Is there a specific bye week pair? Do you go full ankle length or do you go even shorter?
Yeah, I'll actually be out of town. It's my nephew's first birthday, but I'll wear the pants just habit.
Well, nephew's first birthday feels like you probably have a dressier pair of them like you do for game time. So please keep us into maybe the way that coaches' kicks have taken off. You can start the coaches' pants trend to see who's got the most style and game day fit.
Yeah, I mean he's having a golf theme party. I guess he likes golf. I don't know. It feels like his father made that decision for him. But
yeah, what's he shooting right now? What's he been shooting recently?
He's still working on the whole walking thing. So once we get that done, we'll see what he's shooting.
That's a heady play as a parent there to go with the golf theme, just so you can sneak that in for yourself. Guys, let's talk about some of the games coming up now that we've reached week 6. No Saturday games, because like Bodie mentioned, a bunch of buys, so light even on Thursday. And I think we kind of assumed that Brawley and Central are both going to win. So let's focus on the Friday games. Let's start with the Battle of the O's, Otay at Olympian. Tommy Morris, your thoughts?
No game balls?
Oh, you want to do game? Hey, man, if you want to do game,
we don't have to. I had 4. I was going to sneak in there, but Bodie, did you have some? If not, we'll
yeah. I can give you my first couple.
Fire away, guys.
I'll go with my 4 really quick to give Bodie time to pull it up. But I'll go. We talked about, or I don't know if we talked about Saints yet, but Saints. Parker Johnson had 6 carries for 92 yards, 2 touchdowns in the win against Newport Harbor. That's a pretty good stat line. You can do the math on that. Average yards per carry, 6 for 92. Christopher Guzman. It felt like Poway was keying in on wide receiver there for Del Norte, Ty Olson, and Christopher Guzman took advantage. 9 carries, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty good for the Nighthawk. Connor Sawyer, Santa Fe Christian, 172 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. And Munir Casa, Lincoln, 4 sacks in their win last week. 4 sacks in the game. That's pretty good. Tough to beat. On pace for 40 this year if he does that every game.
That'd be I'm assuming has to be a pretty decent, if not record-setting year, right? 40 sacks.
It's a pretty good pace.
Bodie, do we know what the single-season sack record is?
I will get that to you in the next couple minutes after.
I have a feeling whenever it is, it's about to be broken at Army Navy this year.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Mason Walsh from Carlsbad, the running back we've heard a lot about. I think what's so impressive about Carlsbad, despite having obviously such a good quarterback, some good weapons outside, is how balanced they stay within the offense. Mason last week rushed for 193 yards, 2 touchdowns on just 11 carries, continues that huge year he had last year. Jerome Roberts from Lincoln, 13 tackles, a sack, and 2 blocked punts in their shutout against Cajon last week. Parker Johnson from St. Augustine, a game I was at, 146 total yards, scored 3 touchdowns, 1 through the air, 2 on the ground, also made 8 tackles, and they blocked a punt right there in the last few seconds to get a 2-point win over Southern Section Newport Harbor, a very impressive win. Diego Bustamante from Bonita Vista, 3 sacks in their shutout over Mar Vista. And then Kenyon Burnett from Otay Ranch, a team who we're about to talk about, 187 total yards, 4 touchdowns in their win over the San Diego Cavers.
Thank you, guys. Apologies for rushing past that. Didn't want to force you on a short recording Thursday to have to fit in extra work there. Bodie, I'm curious, do you think that this year's Carlsbad team is you mentioned them being balanced, but are they a better offense than last year's team?
I think they are. It's tough to say that Julian can keep getting better. But I mean, at least so far, halfway through the season, he hasn't thrown an interception. He's definitely more of a willing runner, which I think has been impressive. He showed that a lot in the Mater Dei Catholic game. You're getting an extra year of Mason Walsh. You're getting a different group of receivers. You don't have Zach Marshall. You don't have Justin Johnson, but I think it's guys that Julian's comfortable with. And I think you have a much more experienced offensive line. I know going to their practice before the year, they feel comfortable. They have 7 or maybe 8 guys who they can trust to put in, which is such a luxury that very few teams can really have at any high school level, maybe a Mater Dei or Bosco, but to have that many guys up front that you can trust to play in big time games, I think is impressive. So I think that's why we've seen them just kind of control every game they've been in so far. They're going to have some tests after this bye week because league is tough. It is the Avocado League. But ultimately it seems like we're headed for another Carlsbad Lincoln rematch.
Tommy, I see you nodding along during that. I'm sensing no disagreement that this year's offense is a little bit better than last year's Carlsbad offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that offense puts up 30 points in the rain in South Florida.
Somehow that's the ultimate.
Right, I'm not gonna make any more jokes on that now. No, that was it. I've expended my all day. That's all I got.
I like that. No, that was eloquent and delivered well with a lot of confidence. All right, let's talk about the Battle of the O's then. Bodie, you brought it up first. Let's go to you.
Yeah, I like Otay Ranch in this one. I know they struggled early on. They played some teams that have been pretty good, honestly. Point Loma, Mira Mesa, Central, a team I got to see. But they came out last week. They put up 49 points on San Diego High. I think they kind of take that into this game this week. I know they're on the road, but it's also Otay Olympian. If you're familiar with those two, it's not very far from one to the other. So I think they carry that success they had last week. And it seems like after struggling offensively early on, they were able to break out last week. I think this is a week where they go and get a win, maybe 35-24 is what I'm thinking.
I love the scores. Keep them coming. Tommy, your take on the Battle of the O's.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about, speaking of the Battle of the O's, there's a guy with initials OO. It's Olu Watts Olani Osinfolarin. Sorry. Osinfolarin. I think I got it. If I didn't get it, DM me. That's about as good as I can do it. I'm sorry. Double O. That's what we'll call you from now on. 412 rushing yards, 6.2 yards per carry so far this season, and 7 touchdowns. I like Otay Ranch by 2 scores. I think this will be a competitive game, though, Battle of the O's.
Let's head up north. We got Oceanside and El Camino squaring off this week. Tommy, let's start right with you.
I like El Camino. I think this game is going to slowly get more and more competitive, though. We talked about Oceanside last week, getting better and better each week. Defensively for El Camino, Jake Williams averages 10 tackles per game, and Caden Coleman, 3 interceptions. They only have 3 games of stats logged, so 3 interceptions in 3 games. Pretty darn good. I don't know if he got any more in those other 2 games they didn't log, but I like El Camino here, and I think it's a low-scoring one. I still think that, well, I think it's a low-scoring one for Oceanside, if that makes any sense. I think about 21-3, somewhere around there will be the score.
Is it low scoring for a game in the rain in South Florida?
I've expended my allotment of Alabama jokes so far this week, so I can't even. I'm done with that. I'm off that.
Nah, it's okay. You can keep them coming. Bodie DeSilva, your thoughts on Oceanside El Camino?
Yeah, I think a lot like what Tommy said, that Oceanside seems to be on the right track. They've got the right staff in there, working their way back, which obviously would be so huge. It's kind of like that Nebraska, Miami, Texas. Like, are they back? I think they're on that way. But for this week, the way El Camino's been playing, they put up 69 last week, 43 the week before, 34. I don't think they'll do that this week, but I think this is one where El Camino goes and gets a win. I'm going to say 28-14 in that range, where they're just comfortable and they kind of show off what they're capable of.
Fair enough. I like it. Let's go to El Cap and West Hills. Bodie, we'll stay with you.
Yeah, El Cap was surprising to me because early on I had them circled. They got off to that 3-0 start, and then were shocked in that game against Steel Canyon, and then lost a heartbreaker in overtime last week. So I'm gonna say that they bounce back here. This is a West Hills team who I believe a week from now has got that Helix game on a Thursday, so you hope they're not looking ahead. But I think El Cap can go on the road here and get a win here.
Tommy Morris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I like El Cap too. Barker and LaChapa get a lot of attention, so I want to shout out Julie and May for the Vaqueros as well. 421 all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns this season. He plays running back, receiver, does a little bit of everything, plays some defense. So I like El Cap, and I think the Santana game surprised me. I haven't watched the full thing, so I'm not really sure what happened there, but that was not El Cap. I think El Cap's a little better than the show last week. I like the Vaqueros.
Yeah, Santana had to get it done on a 4th and goal in overtime. They threw a touchdown, and yeah, football's football sometimes on some of those games. And one game can tend to be the outlier and not the indicator of all of it. Last game that we got to talk about this week. And again, if you guys want more of these games, stats, information, follow up with scorebooklive.com, highschool.si.com, or downloading the SBLive Sports app. Guys, let's go to Mission Bay and Morse. Mission Bay, 4-1 now. They take their first loss, but I still think is a team that you have to fear. Yes? Or what are we seeing here in this game, guys? Let's start with you, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, Mission Bay, the stereotype, everyone wants to talk about the 5 basketball kids who had never played football before. They go on the football field. So the stereotype would be, oh, they probably don't know how to tackle. They're soft. That is not the case. These are not basketball players playing football. These are football players playing football. Make no mistake about it. They are physical, and they are not scared to get into a slugfest in the box there. So I like Mission Bay in this one. David Dunn, wide receiver, Ricky Esquire, those are 2 guys who are not part of that basketball core that have been football players throughout their time at Mission Bay, who have done a great job kind of including all those kids and making it all work there. I cannot speak more highly of where the Mission Bay program is now compared to where it was a few years ago. They're definitely on the right path. And again, they're not basketball players playing football. Those are football players playing football. I like the Buccaneers.
Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think Mission Bay has definitely had their strength of being a really good defensive team early on this year. Even in their first loss last week, they only gave up 14 the week before, a shutout. I think this is a low-scoring game, but I think this is one, I'm going to say 24-7, 24-10, where Mission Bay gets through and picks up a road I believe it's their last non-league game of the year, so they'll get that road win.
I feel like the final evolution of Bodie's job needs to just be including like a line on every game. Legitimately, I think that Scorebook Live probably has the stats, information, and available data and technology people to make that happen. I think we should have that. Bodie, you said you were going to potentially look up for us all-time leader in sacks. You find that?
Yes, so we do have a new record book here on the CIF website, which I hadn't discovered this yet. So I believe Adam
Shout out
Hall,
to
and if there were
CIF
some
for
other
stepping up the
if there
website.
were some others working on that. I am yet to see
Is that where he's been?
staffing
Has he been just
information.
looking up old stats?
Yeah, I believe he was in charge of getting some of this stuff updated. With football, I'm not seeing sacks on there, so that's one where
What?
may have to come back in the future. I'm seeing
Can we just give it
interceptions and
if
some.
we're
Adam Paul, if you're watching this, you got to get on that. That feels like an easy one to do.
if we are in a post-apocalyptic world where we're rewriting human history, like we just give it to Ratamana Bolabolavu from Army Navy for last year, like 20 something sacks.
Well, I think he's gonna get more this year. I don't know what he's at right now. Bodie, I don't know if you can check fast enough, but he's got to be on pace for more. I feel like he gets like 5 a game now.
Yeah,
Fast enough.
I'm wondering if maybe sacks was something that wasn't tracked for so long that's possibly why it's not on the CIF record books. They're going
That's
back.
perfect. That's even more of a reason to give it to him. Just crown.
Yeah. So on Ratamana, 31 tackles this year, 12 and a half sacks. So he's now up to 54 in his 3 varsity seasons, 54 in 25 games. So that's I like that.
That feels insane. That feels terrifying. Bodie, last stat that I want to look up from you, if you have it by any chance, and if you don't, whatever. I am an awful coworker for tossing you these curveballs left and right. But I was thinking about it this week. We could have the Bell game with Central and Brawley as the potential D2 championship. Do you know how many times, if ever, or when that has been played as a CIF championship?
I do not offhand, but I will look into that right now. That should be
Who we know? Say it again.
Brawley and Central. It's called the Bell game. It's a legitimate rivalry out there. And they are 2 of the better-ish top 7, top 5 type teams in D2.
Oh, because you're saying they're going to be in the finals.
Yeah, because they could, if they, because right now Brawley is undefeated. Central is a 1-loss team. And if Central beats Brawley and they both kind of got 1 loss, I think they could be amorphously like one's the 4, one's the 5. And so they're on different sides of the bracket.
I'll say one time. I'm going to guess once.
I'm thinking it's never happened.
Yeah, this Google sheet has so much info. It's kind of freezing when I go Command F here.
Let's go with it's never happened then. And
it does not appear that it's ever happened in here is what I'm finding.
Hey man, I only asked because you pulled out 1962 Grossmont versus Palo Verde Valley, and I will forever assume that you know everything now. Anything else, guys, that we didn't get to from this week in high school football? All right, perfect. Thank you then for everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week.